have Los Angeles, we have Hollywood, we have entertainment, we have all of these things that I think create experiences for the world, you know, that bring people together, but also bring them apart. Because everyone tries to achieve this premium life and this premium persona, and they don't realize that when they're trying to make that happen, they lose their authenticity.
Yeah, 100%.
So Noeli, you're from LA. Well, I consider you being from LA. You probably wouldn't.
I'm actually from Anaheim. So my whole family are like immigrants from the Philippines. Came to the US with like absolutely nothing. I'm an only child in a household of 4 adults. In Orange County, it's interesting, is known for being like rich and bougie.
Like Laguna Beach, Newport Beach, right? Like I always think about like lots of Republicans and just people from like the shows and stuff.
No, that's true.
But usually like you come from money and then you dress up a certain way, right? It's a little bit more posh. Whereas I think in LA, which granted, I used to think LA was like one big city and that was it. I didn't realize there were so many micro communities and cities within LA. But you have so many people, immigrants, people like me who move across the world or across the country to make something out of themselves, right? Starving artists, all this stuff. You still think that there's more expectation to dress up and to be something that maybe you're not, or to kind of prove something?
Yeah, no, actually, like absolutely. Because when you're in LA, usually you come here for work or for like, especially in like the entertainment world, right?
Yep.
And everything about the entertainment world is who you know, to be honest. It's like it's about like connections. So the best way to like sort of adapt to society is to try to fit into their standard, which sucks because like I feel like if everybody was just who they are and their authentic selves, then everyone would be so much happier. And I feel like in LA especially, a lot of people put on like facades to try to be your friend, see what they can kind of like get out of you.
Yes.
Yeah, get out of you sometimes. Like how can you help them?
Yeah.
And in that way, it's hard to find like authentic friendships like ours.
Yeah. It's so true though, right? And it almost feels like in LA, like when you come to LA, right? And I say this a lot, but people move to LA or Los Angeles, right? Would you call this one place? We move here because we want to take something, right? People move to LA because they want to get famous. They want to get money. They want to find a sugar daddy. They want to, I don't know, become the best surfer. But I think there's so much within the community that it really like breaks you down, and you get to be built back up by what LA is, which is made up of experiences and art and culture and music and finding your authentic self. So much more than that, right? And when people move to LA, I've noticed, and same thing happened to me, where you come here and you're like, okay, I'm going to try to find the industry. I'm going to like find my way in, right? And you meet people and you meet people and you meet people, and they just keep using each other. Nobody really knows, like, what is the industry? How did you join the circus? Can we get the story?
I was a biotechnology major at UC Davis, and I was interning in a lab for 3 years, genetically modifying bacteria to create biofuels, which is like a sustainable form of like gas. And this has been like my whole like 20s, basically. It's been this journey of unlearning to just kind of like stick with the pain. I was so miserable, and I was like, okay, if this lab is the rest of my life, then I need a hobby. And I found an aerial class. So I'm an aerialist. At my very first class, I was completely horrendous, like absolutely horrendous. I couldn't climb. I couldn't like invert. I couldn't go upside down or anything. I was just like completely terrible. But in my heart, like this is the first time I've ever followed my gut intuition.
Yeah.
In my gut, I was like, I know I suck right now, but if I just work really, really hard at this, I think I can be a performer one day. And that sounds absolutely insane. What ended up happening was I did get my biotechnology degree. I ended up applying to one physical therapy school, and I was like, please, I do not want to get in. Please do not let me get in. I get into physical therapy school, and I'm like, fuck. Damn it. Like, I just wanted to work on my circus career. The deciding factor of like when I decided to leave physical therapy school was I had aced like a test, and the girl next to me like completely bombed it. And she was like, man, I'm just going to like work harder, do really, really well because I love this so much. And I'm so passionate about this. And I like looked at my test. I looked at like her, and I was like, I have enough time to give someone else who's passionate about this a spot.
Yeah.
Like I can back out right now. And so the next day I like deferred from physical therapy school for a year. I knew I wasn't coming back, but that's like, okay, if anyone wants to drop out of school, pro tip, defer. do not actually drop out, because then you have a plan B. But you're not coming back. You know you're not coming back. You're going to make it happen. But at least you have that plan B. Just in case.
I literally have goosebumps like all over my body.
Thank you.
It's so interesting, right? Because you have to be brave. You have to be courageous. You have to choose yourself eventually, right? Yeah. The worst thing I think anybody can do is just to go through life and then have regrets and be like, and I know we say that, right? Like, oh, like, don't have regrets. But you go through your entire life and you're like, I wish. What if this happened? What if that happened? But trusting yourself is really fucking hard. And it's hard because, again, your parents wanted the best and they're amazing human beings, right? And that's lovely. But what you want versus what they want doesn't have to match. And so for you to choose yourself and to say, you know what, I'm actually going to bet on myself.
Yep.
That's the difference. But I think whenever I've chosen myself or bet on myself and said, you know what, I went through 28 years of my life and I'm okay. And every single decision I made, it might not have been the best decision, but it ended up fine. Like, I always had my own back. I always made a decision, even if I was anxious. Why do we not do that? Every single time you do that, everything will work out.
Yeah, absolutely. My mom literally like throws her hand up in the air and she's like, you literally just fucked up your life, walks out of the room. So now I'm in this position where they let me stay at home, which I'm like super grateful for. But it's every day they're like, you're a fuck up. Like we are so disappointed in you. Like my mom wouldn't even look at me for like 3 weeks. Like she it was very, very difficult mentally. So I lived in Anaheim. I was commuting 2 hours to LA to practice like every day. And I was practicing like 6 to 10 hours a day. I took on like really odd jobs. So I was like a physical therapy aide. I did like virtual assisting, and then I ended up virtual assisting for like a circus company. And while I'm doing that, I'm also like an assistant at like a circus school, because they're like, you actually have potential and you have the drive. Yeah. We think you can do this. So like come work for us. Like all your training is free. Wow. If you like work at the front desk. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. And so I did that. And so that's kind of how I like made ends meet, I guess, while I was on this training journey. So that was like a good like 2 to 3 years. So there came a point where I'm like, okay, so I'm performing around like the US and everything now, and little like one-off gigs, but I want more. If I move to Montreal and work for one of the 3 biggest companies in circus. So that's Cirque du Soleil, obviously. Les Sept Doigts it's called the Seven Fingers. They're just like this very artsy, very like contemporary storytelling sort of circus. Like their work is beautiful. And then Cirque Éloise was another one. Wow. And I go through a list of like creative directors in each of these companies, and Seven Fingers is what resonated with me most, because what I loved about circus wasn't just doing tricks. That's like most people. They're like, I'm just going to do tricks and that's it. I was like, nah, I'm going to do tricks and tell a story with it. And that was kind of like my whole bag, was sort of like putting these like hopeful stories out into the world through circus, so that like even without saying a word, you would be able to like resonate with like what's happening. And that's the beauty of circus, in my opinion. And so I looked into the Seven Fingers, looked at all of the directors, and there was one in particular that stood out to me. Her name's Shayna Carroll, and she's absolutely fucking brilliant. And she's from San Francisco, started at the age of 18, was like an assistant beforehand, and then like didn't have any like dance or gymnastics background, and then became like a Cirque du Soleil performer, then ran her own company. Like she's a powerhouse of a woman, like just a wonderful woman. I listened to every podcast, I read every article about her. So then I sent her a DM
on Instagram,
on Facebook. So I Facebook messaged her, DM'd her.
Facebook messaging. It was another level,
and it's a long ass paragraph. It was a long paragraph, but it was from the heart. It was like, I really resonate with your work. I would love to meet you one day. And it was like very, very detailed of why I loved her work. And then I waited. I was like puking, crying, vomiting. Like, I'm just kidding. I wasn't. But I was very anxious, like waiting for a reply. And then she replies the next day.
I love that so much.
And she's like, hey, if you're ever in Montreal, let's meet up. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so funny, because I'm literally going to be there next week. And then I booked my plane ticket for next week.
Oh my goodness.
So I booked my plane ticket for next week, right? I go to Montreal. We meet at this vegan restaurant thrift store.
Ooh.
On Saint Laurent.
Sounds so fancy.
Yeah, it sounds really fancy. But yeah, so I go into this vegan thrift store restaurant with her, and we have a conversation, and I'm just like, in my head, I'm like listening to everything, and I'm like, how do I get into her company? And the first thing she says is, we're not hiring performers. I'm like, okay, what other ways can I get into this company if I'm not going to be a performer?
Yeah.
And I realized, because she's like this very like chaotic sort of woman. Like, she's absolutely brilliant, but honestly, she would like lose her head if she didn't have it attached to her body.
I mean, I feel the same way.
Yeah, because she's literally running around like just completely scattered.
But she still took the time to meet with you.
She took the time to meet with me.
Which is so interesting.
Yeah. So I had 30 minutes to figure out how to get into her company. And so she's telling me how like chaotic everything is. And I was like, do you need an assistant? And she was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I do. And so that's how I ended up in Montreal. I actually took on an assistant job to a creative director. And that's how I got my work visa to move to Montreal, because I knew that if I got my foot in the door somewhere, even if it's as an assistant, I'm gonna find a way to become a performer.
Well, and that's the best way to like get to know everybody and see how it runs, and just see how everything works from behind the scenes.
Yeah, from behind the scenes. So then 2 months later, it was January 2019. I moved to Montreal in like negative 40-degree weather. And I actually stay at an Airbnb because I have to tour apartments and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm staying at this Airbnb. There is no heater. So I was there at night with all like I had like a giant coat and like blankets over me. And I'm like, I could die.
Literally.
I literally could die. And I called the Airbnb the next day. I'm like, I just wanted to let you know that the heater isn't working. They're like, are you okay? And I'm like, I lived, but like, can we get this fixed? And they're like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So while I'm assisting, sometimes people would be out. So that she'll be like, Noeli, can you take this spot? Like, can you like improv this? So I was in rehearsals, like literally learning like choreography and like improving with them. And I was able to use a training space for free.
Wow.
So, and their facility is amazing. And in so doing, I get to know the acrobats. Mm-hmm. And so that's how I started like getting gigs in Montreal too, was just performers knew who I was. Mm-hmm. And they'd be like, oh, Noeli is available. Mm-hmm. She can do that. And like, that's how I got an in with that company. This was January and February of 2019. Toward the middle of February 2019, there's a casting call for Cirque du Soleil for 2 girls to create on an apparatus, and I was like on a completely new apparatus that hasn't been like released yet. Yeah. Great. And so like I apply, and I'm like, there's no way. Like, people spend their whole lives trying to get into Cirque du Soleil. There's no way.
Yeah.
And then a week later, I get a message, and it's like, thank you for your application. I'm like, I didn't get it. Thank you for your application. We are pleased to say that we have chosen you as one of our girls to create on this new apparatus.
My God.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because I'm going to tell you something. So about a year earlier, I was like, I don't really want to be in a Cirque du Soleil show, but what I want to be is in a creation for Cirque du Soleil. Yeah. So a creation for Cirque du Soleil is basically you get to fuck around and just like create on an apparatus, create an act, create the show, and then you like perform it later.
Yeah.
But what I was really interested in is like just being a creator.
Yeah.
Which makes sense with what my job is now, actually. Because like
it's like everything made you into like what you do now.
No.
Isn't that so funny?
The end goal was always a creative director, and performing was like the step there.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, when you perform, like, you definitely vibe off of your audience and everything.
But you almost, like, people think of performing as, like, the end goal.
Exactly.
Like, I'm only successful if 1,000 people watch me, or if a bunch of people know my name or whatever. But you almost had to get to that point to realize that the journey got you there, right? Yeah. The journey is the thing that fulfilled you. It's the practicing, the people that you met, the auditioning even, right? That's the kind of stuff that made you realize that actually creating. And you know, we don't have to overcomplicate things, right? It can literally like, what are your values, right? Mine's hope. Like hope is the number one thing in my life where I'm like, that's my word. That's why I'm here. That's what I'm trying to instill in other people. Creation, that can just be it. And that's enough.
Yeah.
That's more than enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, I'm not defined by the standards that society puts on me or how I think other people view me.
Yeah.
And for me, that was the biggest learning lesson is, you know what, like people have these like views of me, of like other people, and it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. What matters is like following your gut intuition, following your heart, and just being a good person, being empathetic to others, like actually caring about other people's feelings and listening and like actively listening to other people.
Yeah.
Like I think that just that's what matters.
And if you want more of this, follow Everybody Hates LA. Thank you all so much for listening and for watching. Thank you so much for your time. I'm so grateful. And we'll catch you next time.